Tantor Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents A Field Guide to Grad School, Uncovering the Hidden Curriculum by Jessica McCrory Calarco, narrated by Marie Jenkins. Publisher's Note: in this audio edition, you will hear references to templates, tables, appendices, and other resources present in the print and ebook formats of the book. Introduction. What does it mean to write a literature review? Who should you choose for your dissertation committee, and how should you ask for their help? How big should a conference poster be? If a journal tells you to revise and resubmit, should you celebrate or cry? These are the kinds of things you'll need to know to be successful in grad school, but they probably won't be covered in class. Instead, they're part of the hidden curriculum, the things you're expected to know or do, but won't be explicitly taught. Of course, that begs questions. If the knowledge and skills and strategies in the hidden curriculum matter for success, why are they hidden at all? Why not just make them part of the formal, i.e., explicitly taught, curriculum instead? The hidden curriculum of grad school stays hidden in part because it's taken for granted. Unlike the formal curriculum, which tends to focus on ways of thinking, the hidden curriculum tends to involve ways of doing: how to do, write about, and talk about research, how to navigate complex bureaucracies, and how to ask others for help when you feel lost. Those ways of doing are easy to take for granted because once scholars learn them, they enact them in subconscious ways. And once those ways of doing are taken for granted, they become a lot harder to teach. Think, for example, about your grandma's blueberry pie, or whatever favorite dish you have that a friend or relative makes. Your grandma probably doesn't follow a recipe, and if she tried to tell you the recipe, there's a good chance she couldn't easily tell you exactly what she does. Essentially, the taken-for-grantedness of your grandma's pie-baking knowledge can make it hard for her to share that knowledge with you, which makes it hard for you to recreate her pie for yourself. That same taken-for-grantedness works to keep the hidden knowledge of academia hidden as well. Like your grandma with her pie, your professors are experts in the kind of work they do. After doing that work for many years, or decades, your professors can do it almost without thinking. As a result, they might forget that the hidden curriculum is hidden. They might forget there was a time when they didn't know how to do what they do. They might forget that you don't know what they've spent a career learning. They might struggle to explain what they know in a way that makes it easy to understand. Taken-for-grantedness, however, isn't the only reason the hidden curriculum of academia stays hidden. Rather, the hidden curriculum also stays hidden because professors have little incentive to uncover that knowledge for their students. In academia, and especially in departments with graduate programs, the big rewards, grants, publications, jobs, tenure, promotions, and awards go to scholars who do prolific, prestigious research. Doing that kind of research takes a tremendous amount of time and energy. Meanwhile, being a good teacher and a good mentor, the kind of teacher and mentor who systematically uncovers the hidden curriculum of grad school for their students, also takes a tremendous amount of time and energy. But exerting that time and energy doesn't come with external rewards. Because of that incentive structure, professors have a tough choice to make. Professors can focus on research, chase the big rewards, but they probably won't have the time or energy left over to give you hands-on support. Professors can also focus on teaching and mentoring, provide a high level of hands-on support, but they probably won't have the time to do the research they need to be successful in their careers. And, of course, professors can try to be great at all these things, but that probably means working themselves to exhaustion, putting their health and their career and their relationships at risk. Ultimately, then, the hidden curriculum tends to stay hidden, and that hiddenness perpetuates inequalities in grad school and in academia as a whole. Grad students from more privileged groups, for example, those who are white, affluent, male, cisgender, heterosexual, native-born, and able-bodied, tend to reap more of the big rewards in academia. They're more likely to get into top programs, get chosen for top fellowships and top grants, get their research published in top journals, get hired for top jobs, and get tenured to keep those top jobs. Of course, grad students from privileged groups don't get those big rewards because they're smarter or work harder. They get them because of how they are perceived by key gatekeepers, because they typically have access to more resources, and because they have an advantage in learning the hidden knowledge they need to succeed. Privileged students' advantage in learning the hidden curriculum is, in part, a network advantage. If you're from a more privileged background, you probably have friends or family members who've been to grad school. Those friends and family members can be your guides to grad school. They can help you uncover the hidden curriculum for yourself. Meanwhile, if you're not from a privileged background, then you probably can't rely on your close friends and family members to help you navigate the hidden curriculum of grad school. You might even face criticism from friends and family about the demands of grad school or the type of person you've become. That lack of support, in turn, can make it harder to succeed. Privileged students' advantage in learning the hidden curriculum is also an entitlement advantage. If you're from a more privileged group, you're probably pretty comfortable talking with your professors and asking them for help. When you've asked for things in the past, your teachers and professors have probably said yes, and those yeses have probably made it easy to feel entitled to support. Of course, you might have encountered one or two professors who were too intimidating to approach for help, or you might have had a professor who denied your request. But if you're a student from a more privileged background, you probably didn't have to worry about whether your professor said no because of who you are. Meanwhile, if you're not from a privileged background, you might find it more difficult to ask professors for help. Professors, like all people, are prone to subconscious biases. Given that possibility of bias, you might worry about how your professors will judge you for needing help. You might worry that if a professor sees you as difficult or demanding, they won't want to invest in you or your career. Essentially, students from privileged groups have an advantage in learning the hidden curriculum, and that advantage helps those students to be more successful in their careers. If you're a student from a less privileged group, you probably think those advantages are deeply unfair, and you're probably not alone. In the United States, the average grad student is still a white male student from an affluent, highly educated family. But the face of that average student is changing. Between 2000 and 2016, the number of graduate students in the United States increased from 2.2 million to 3 million, and those increases were concentrated almost entirely among students from systematically marginalized groups. That includes low-income students, first-generation college students, students of color, LGBTQ students, women students, especially in STEM fields, and international students. If you're a student from one of those groups, you might need a little extra help navigating the hidden curriculum of grad school, and that's okay, because you deserve success as much as those students who came in knowing the hidden curriculum of grad school, or who have more resources to figure it out on their own. At the same time, it's important to consider who you ask for help. In most schools, departments, and disciplines, the people who work hardest to help grad students succeed are professors from systematically marginalized groups and especially women faculty of color. Because of their commitment to making academia a more diverse, inclusive, and equitable space, professors from systematically marginalized groups often take it upon themselves to provide the kind of hands-on guidance students need. In doing so, however, they often put their own careers and even their own health at risk, and those are the professors academia needs the most. Tweet from Nina M. Flores, Ph.D. Hashtag hidden curriculum around hashtag grad school is real, especially for first-gen students. First year in college, I had no clue about grad school. I remember the embarrassment of trying to figure out if I was an undergrad or grad. All I knew is I wanted to graduate, so I selected graduate. I can still feel the shame of not knowing the difference between graduate and undergraduate status as a freshman in college. But with no one who had this basic inside knowledge about hashtag higher ed in my life, how would I have known this intuitively? I wouldn't have, and I didn't. If we want to avoid overburdening professors from marginalized groups, we have to find another way to help students uncover the hidden curriculum and get the guidance they need to succeed. Arguably, the best solution would be to make the hidden curriculum part of the formal curriculum. Graduate programs could explicitly teach students, all students, everything they need to succeed. That's certainly something I'm working toward in my own department. Maybe someday it'll be something you can work toward in yours. Those changes are important, but they also take time. In the short term, my hope, as a sociologist who studies inequalities in education, as a professor who cares deeply about quality teaching and mentoring, and as someone who struggled, and sometimes still struggles, to understand academia, is that this book will be your field guide to grad school. In it, I uncover key parts of the hidden curriculum. I also offer strategies to help you build the confidence you'll need to uncover the rest for yourself. Along those lines, it's important to note up front that some aspects of the hidden curriculum vary across disciplines, across departments, and across degrees. Essentially, what you need to know to be successful in a doctoral program in sociology at Stanford is going to be somewhat different from what you need to know if you're getting a master's degree in computer science at Oklahoma State. Given those variations, a book like this one is not easy to write. I'm coming at this as a social scientist, and that's the part of academia I know best. While this book also includes material relevant to the humanities and lab sciences, there will inevitably be things I forget to mention and things I don't discuss in the level of detail you need. That said, I do my best to uncover as much of the hidden curriculum as I can, given the limits of my own knowledge and the limits imposed by the publishing process. More on that in Chapter 8. To do that, I focus on the parts of the hidden curriculum that apply widely across disciplines, departments, and degrees. At the same time, I also point out key sources of variation in the hidden curriculum and offer suggestions on how to look for, ask for, and ultimately get help with uncovering the parts of the hidden curriculum that are unique to your discipline, your department, and your degree. Specifically, we'll talk about the hidden curriculum as it relates to applying to and choosing a program, building your team, deciphering academic jargon, reading and writing about other people's research, staying on track in your program, doing research and finding funding, writing about research, publishing and promoting your work, talking about your research and surviving the Q&A, going to conferences without breaking the bank, navigating the job market, balancing teaching, research, service, and life. In these chapters, I share my own, sometimes embarrassing, stories from grad school and post-grad school, and I share stories that others, including current grad students, former grad students, and other professors, have shared on Twitter as part of a larger discussion of the hashtag hidden curriculum of grad school. Essentially, we'll uncover the hidden curriculum of grad school by talking openly and honestly about the things we didn't know. I also share resources like email templates, writing outlines, and checklists, which can also be viewed in the print and ebook versions of this book, that can help make grad school feel less like getting locked out when everyone else has the key. This includes resources I've created to help my own students navigate the hidden curriculum of grad school and resources that other scholars and organizations have created to support their students and scholars as well. Tweet from Jess Calarco. The hashtag hidden curriculum of academia isn't just hidden from undergrads, it's hidden from grad students too. I'm sure we all had things we were embarrassed we didn't know in grad school, so let's tell those stories. I'll go first. Parentheses, one of many. Tweet from Kristen K. Smith. Just told an undergrad about graduate assistantships, stipends, and tuition waivers. Her mind was blown. We need to do a better job educating students about hashtag grad student opportunities, especially for rural, low-income, non-traditional students. Hashtag higher ed. My hope is that this field guide to grad school will take some of the stress out of navigating the hidden curriculum, that it will leave you with more time and energy to pursue the passions that brought you to grad school, that it will help you feel confident in yourself and your worth as a scholar. In grad school, feeling confident is critical because the hidden curriculum is a perfect catalyst for self-doubt. When you're struggling to navigate the hidden curriculum, it can feel as though everyone else solved the puzzle while you're still finding the pieces. Essentially, the hidden curriculum contributes to imposter syndrome, that feeling that you're not good enough or smart enough to be in your program, that maybe you got into grad school by mistake. Tweet from Jess Calarco. This is such an important conversation. Acknowledging the hashtag hidden curriculum seems like the first step in combating imposter syndrome, helping students recognize that there are things that matter for success that aren't always explicitly taught, and then making those explicit. Tweet from Liana Sayer. Discussing hashtag hidden curriculum in ProSem and curious about strategies to quell hashtag imposter syndrome. Mine of staying silent isn't effective. At Jessica Calarco, at Sarah Burgard, at Sarah Damask, at Family Unequal, at Tristan B. PhD. If you've struggled with imposter syndrome, you know the toll it can take on your physical and mental health. Research has found that grad students experience strikingly high rates of depression and anxiety, much higher than among the general population. Those health problems also appear to be closely linked to grad students' feeling of inadequacy, the kind of inadequacy you might feel when you can't see the hidden curriculum and you feel like you're being tested on things you never learned. As a field guide to grad school, this book can help you fight off those self-doubts. As you listen, you'll learn you're not the only one who's felt confused or inadequate or alone in grad school. Far from it. You'll learn key parts of the hidden knowledge you need to succeed. And you'll learn strategies that can help you be more confident in asking for the help you need to figure out the rest. Chapter 1. Choosing a Program. Tweet from Devin Cantwell. I was talking to some folks I knew from high school tonight, and they were really surprised to learn that there was even such a thing as a fully funded PhD program. We are all from low-income backgrounds and knew very few people who ever went to grad school. Hashtag hidden curriculum. You think you might want to go to grad school, but how do you decide? And even if you know you want to go to grad school, how do you decide which program to choose? Some people go to grad school because they're not sure what else to do, but I don't think that's the best approach. Given the time, effort, costs, and trade-offs involved, you should go to grad school only if it'll help you achieve your career goals and only if it won't break the bank or your spirit in the process. Essentially, it's important not to treat grad school as an end in itself. Instead, going to grad school is more like packing for a trip, where the destination is the job you want to do with your degree. If your ideal trip is a month in Paris, you might want to learn some French, and you might need a passport and visa before you go. If instead you want to spend a week hiking in the Appalachian Mountains, Taking French classes would be a waste of time and money. Meanwhile, if you don't have a solid pair of boots, a fully stocked backpack, and key survival skills, there's a good chance you won't last the whole week, or worse, that you'll get hurt along the way. Like different destinations, different careers require different tools, knowledge, and credentials. You want to choose a program that can get you where you want to go. To put these decisions in context, let me tell you a bit about my own path to grad school. As an undergrad, I worked as a research assistant for an education historian. I got to help edit a book manuscript, and I even got to do research in the National Archives in Washington, D.C. That taste of real academic research, plus my love for college classes more generally, had me hooked. I didn't just want to work for a college professor, I wanted to be one myself. At the time, though, I had no idea how to actually become a college professor. No one in my family, or even my extended family, had ever gotten a doctoral degree. I was lucky, though, in that my undergrad professors noticed my passion for research and encouraged me to consider grad school. At first, I was hesitant. I didn't know anything about doctoral programs, and my dad really wanted me to go to law school instead. He saw law school as a clear path to a stable, well-paid career, but I wanted to do research, and I wanted to teach. So, eventually, after a number of incredibly helpful conversations with my undergraduate professors and lots of research online, I decided to take the GRE, a standardized admissions test for grad school, and apply to doctoral programs. At the time, I was double majoring in sociology and education studies, and I was interested in researching inequalities in schools. Given those interests, I initially looked into doctoral programs in education. However, when I mentioned this to my undergrad professors, including one in sociology and two in education studies, they all urged me to consider a doctoral degree in sociology instead. With a doctoral degree in education, my job prospects, at least in academia, would be limited to schools of education. With a doctoral degree in sociology, I'd have more options, including both sociology departments and education schools. That's because disciplinary departments, for example, sociology, history, biology, typically hire only scholars trained in those disciplines. For identity and status reasons, those disciplinary departments tend to view scholars trained in interdisciplinary programs as lacking the expertise to teach in a disciplinary program. Meanwhile, interdisciplinary schools and programs, for example, education, public health, public policy, and administration, hire a bigger mix of scholars, including some trained in disciplinary departments and others with interdisciplinary degrees. Those conversations helped me navigate the complexities of academic culture. They helped me figure out what I couldn't have figured out on my own. That's what I hope to do in this chapter, help you identify key factors to consider when deciding whether to go to grad school, what kind of degree to pursue, and which program to choose. We'll talk about matching your degree to your career goals, distinguishing different degrees and programs, and choosing a program that meets your short-term and long-term needs. Finally, we'll talk about how to apply, how to boost your GRE scores, and how to cope if your grades and scores aren't as high as you want them to be, how to write a strong personal statement and how to tailor it for each program on your list, how to ask for letters, and how to respond if you get asked to write them yourself. Matching your degree to your career goals. When one of my undergraduate students tells me they're interested in grad school, the first question I ask is, what do you want to do after grad school? The answer to that question will determine what kind of degree you should get and whether you should go to grad school at all. As we'll talk about more in the next section, different degrees and non-degree certificates serve as credentials for different types of careers. If you want to teach chemistry at a school like the University of Chicago, you will almost certainly need a doctoral degree. If you want to be a public policy analyst at a think tank, or if you want to be a school social worker, a master's degree is probably all you'll need. And if you want a high-paying job in computer and information systems management, an internship during college might open more doors than a graduate degree. So, how do you figure out which kind of degree you'll need for the career you want? If you've already graduated and started working, you may have reached the limits of what you can achieve with just a bachelor's degree, and you might be looking to grad school to help you move up the ladder in your field. If that's the case, then I'd recommend talking with some of the higher-ups in your organization about their experiences in grad school and what degrees and programs they'd recommend you try to pursue. If you're still an undergrad, or if you're working but interested in switching fields, then I'd suggest starting your grad search process by thinking about your career role models, people whose careers you'd love to have yourself. It might be someone you know, like a favorite college professor, or the director of the nonprofit you volunteered with in college. Or it might be someone you know of, like an economist you saw interviewed on TV. Once you have the names of a few potential role models, you can start doing some research. It might feel a bit like stalking, but that's why websites like LinkedIn exist, so don't feel weird. Academics, people who teach and/or do research in college or university settings, Google each other's research and websites and CVs all the time. CV stands for Curriculum Vitae, which is basically the academic version of a resume. More on academic jargon in Chapter 3. Look up where your role models went to school, what degrees they earned, and what jobs they had before they got to where they are today. Then, ideally, do a little triangulation. Find other people working in similar positions and look up their career trajectories as well. That'll give you a sense of whether you need a degree, and if so, what kind of degree you need to get to where you want to be. Now, you might not have a specific career role model in mind. Instead, you might have a sense of the kind of career you want. Maybe one involving research, or writing, or marketing, or product design. Maybe you want a career where you're working directly with people and making a difference in their lives. Maybe you're worried about the environment and climate change. Maybe you like working with numbers. Or maybe you love listening to podcasts about politics and policy. A visit or an email to the Career Services Office at your undergraduate college or university can help you link those interests to potential careers and possibly put you in touch with alumni who work in those fields. Even if you have already graduated, they'll be able to help you think through various career options that match your interests and possibly connect you with alumni who can tell you more. Remember, the career services people have an interest in helping you because if you get a good job, the university can brag about you in its stats, and you'll probably be more likely to donate money to the university someday too. Along those lines, there are lots of careers that require, or at least increasingly require, graduate degrees. There are the obvious grad school-linked careers, like college professor and research scientist. Beyond that, though, you might also need, or at least benefit from having, a graduate degree if you want a high-level career in a field like public policy, market research, pharmaceutical development and testing, nonprofit management, computer science and engineering, marriage and family therapy, social work, criminology, biostatistics, financial analysis, public relations, human resources, information science, database administration, and so many more. As you're wading through various career options, trying to make sense of people's resumes and CVs, you'll probably encounter lots of acronyms, things like MSW and MBA and PhD. In the next section, we'll talk about what all those letters mean. We'll also talk about why it's not just the letters that matter, but also, at least for many careers, the school that granted the degree. Essentially, once you figure out what degree you'll need for the job you want, it's time to find a program that offers that type of degree or non-degree you'll need. Considering your options. Grad school isn't just one thing. There are non-degree programs, master's programs, and doctoral programs, and they differ in important ways. The primary thing to consider in choosing among those programs is what you...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?